15 years. That's how long I played house with a woman who turned out to be more venom than vows. You ever wake up one morning and feel like the wallpaper's peeling back on your life? That was me, except the wallpaper wasn't just peeling. It was soaked in gasoline and she was standing there with the match. Her name was Veronica. Once upon a time, she was the girl who wore Converse with her wedding dress and laughed so hard she snorted. But somewhere between Till Death Do Us Part and You're Not Man Enough for Me, she evolved, or maybe devolved, into something colder than courtroom linoleum. I used to blame the stress. Bills, miscarriages, her job, my lack of one. But now I see the truth clearer than ever. She just got tired of pretending I mattered. We were sitting in what used to be our kitchen, her side now, obviously, when she said it. No hesitation. No shame. Just cold, calculated venom. You're such a pathetic loser that I don't even want your money. Just leave me the house and everything will be fine. That was it. That was her pitch. No sob story. No, let's make this amicable for the kids. Just get out of my house, loser. Of course, I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was perfect. The final nail in the coffin of our love, hammered in by the woman I once gave everything to, down to the last shred of my dignity. But it got worse. Oh, it always gets worse before it gets poetic. She didn't just ask me to leave. She arranged it. Two guys, built like refrigerators with neck tattoos and bad cologne, dragged me out of my own damn car. In broad daylight. One of them even had the audacity to call me champ, like we were friends. They threw the divorce papers in my lap, shoved a pen in my hand, and growled like I owed them something more than a signature. And here's the kicker. I smiled. Not because I was okay. Because I knew something she didn't. The moment I hit rock bottom, I remembered the one thing I had forgotten all these years. Tucked deep in the attic of my mind, past the unpaid bills and crushed dreams, there was a single spark of hope. An old leather wallet. One I hadn't seen in over a decade. One that held a USB drive. And on that drive? My early 20s self's dumbest gamble and smartest move. Back in 2011, I bought Bitcoin. Not because I was smart. Because I was reckless and thought it'd be funny to spend $300 on what looked like Monopoly money. I never cashed it out. Never thought about it again until I found that wallet, right after she kicked me out. Hidden in a shoebox in my brother's garage while I was crashing on his pull-out couch, smelling like betrayal and expired dreams. And there it was, 55.3 Bitcoin, which, as of that week, made me the new millionaire in town. Roughly $55 million richer than the woman who called me a pathetic loser. The news got out before I could even call my lawyer. Some blogger picked it up from a crypto forum, slapped my name and photo onto a headline that read, "Local nobody becomes millionaire overnight after finding forgotten Bitcoin wallet." By noon, my phone was vibrating like a chainsaw. Emails, voicemails, text from every cousin I forgot existed. But none mattered as much as one name on that screen. Veronica. She sent 14 texts in under a minute. All caps. Some begging, some threatening. Some, ironically, suggesting we talk like adults. It was glorious. Because the moment she realized I wasn't the pathetic loser she painted me to be, was the moment I became the one who left. I didn't even respond. I just sat back, raised a glass of cheap whiskey in my brother's garage, and watched her house, the one she stole, burn in the background of my TV, not in flames, but in public shame. See, that wasn't just her house anymore. It was mine again. The thing about revenge is, if you do it right, it doesn't feel like revenge. It feels like balance being restored. After the Bitcoin boom, the first thing I bought wasn't a Lamborghini or a watch that could track the phases of the moon. It was a cold, calculating silence. I didn't make a scene. I didn't show up at her door with a camera crew or a lawyer in a pinstripe suit. No. I waited. Let her sweat. Her texts went from rage. "You smug bastard. You lied to me." To confusion. "Was this your plan the whole time?" To desperation. "Please, we need to talk. I miss you. I miss us." There was no us, Veronica. Not after what you did. Not after the goons. Not after you had me sign my dignity away like it was a pizza receipt. But I wasn't going to block her. Not yet. Let her keep typing. Every message she sent was another nail in her own coffin. You see, before I was her husband, I was a damn good IT guy. And IT guys don't forget passwords. Or how to trace a phone. Or how to quietly gather evidence while sipping tea. So when I got my hands on that $55 million, I didn't just sit on it. I hired a legal team so ruthless they made sharks look like pet goldfish. The kind of firm that didn't have billboards, they had judges on speed dial. I told them the truth. The whole truth. About the forced signature, the hired muscle, the manipulation. And they smiled. Because it turns out, dragging someone out of a car and making them sign property over under duress? That's not just cruel. That's illegal. We filed the claim so quietly, Veronica didn't even know she was being investigated until her new boyfriend, a real estate agent with all charm and 0 cents, called her from jail after being picked up for fraud. Funny how selling a house that was technically not legally yours can ruin a weekend. While she was scrambling for bail, I bought a townhouse across the street from her precious palace. Renovated, modern, open concept, and fully paid for in cash. I could see her front porch from my balcony. She didn't know it yet, but every morning she stepped out to water those overpriced hedges. I was sipping coffee, watching karma tighten its noose. And the best part? The local paper wanted a follow-up story. From rags to riches, Bitcoin boom turns local divorcee into millionaire. I didn't give them a quote. I just gave them the details. Dates, documents, photos. They ran it. Her face? Front page. Right next to the headline. Millionaire's ex-wife under legal fire after coercive divorce tactics surface. By 8 a.m., her phone was probably detonating in her hand. Again. And me? I was in a cafe 2 towns over, shaking hands with a developer I just backed, because that's what I do now. I build things. I own things. I no longer beg for scraps. I serve the whole damn meal. That afternoon, I took a walk down our old street, just to feel the concrete beneath my feet, just to let it all sink in. One of her bouncers, the bald one with the neck ink and breath like boiled cabbage, spotted me from a few houses down. He froze. I just nodded. No malice. No threat. Just a man who no longer had to fight for his place. I didn't need to say a word. He stepped aside. Veronica came out just in time to see it. Her lips parted, maybe to scream, maybe to beg. But I just kept walking. No backward glance. No acknowledgement. Let her know what silence feels like. Because that silence? That was the sound of power. There's a moment, right after someone realizes they lost the game, where they stop bluffing, where the lies run out and all that's left is panic. That's where Veronica was now. She just didn't know how deep the trap really went. You see, when she threw me out and mocked me with, "Just leave me the house and everything will be fine," she assumed the house was the prize. What she didn't know was that the house was drowning in debt. Our joint assets? I had kept meticulous records. Not because I'm obsessive. Because I knew one day I'd need them. 15 years of being treated like a placeholder teaches you things. Like how to photograph receipts. How to scan tax returns. How to trace every dollar spent on that kitchen she just had to have. While she was busy coordinating the aesthetic, I was quietly watching her run up secret lines of credit, loans in both our names, taken out using forged signatures. Want to guess what she secured the house against? Yup, my name. Now, most men would have taken that info and screamed from the rooftops. Not me. I sat with it. I waited. And then I handed it to my legal team, the Reapers in Armani, and told them one thing. Bleed her dry. But make it slow. Within a week, her accounts were frozen. The IRS opened a review. The credit unions called in the loans. All of it, triggered legally. Cleanly. No mess. Just pressure. A pressure she had no idea how to handle. She showed up at my new townhouse one morning. No warning. I opened the door, coffee in hand. She looked, diminished. Designer blouse, no makeup, eyes ringed in panic. "We need to talk," she said. I stepped aside. Let her in. Not because I owed her anything, but because sometimes it's good to let the enemy see the kingdom after they've been exiled. She looked around. Hardwood floors. Smart lighting. View of her collapsing little empire from the balcony. "You can't just take everything," she whispered. I laughed. "I didn't take anything, Veronica. You gave it all away. I just documented it." She launched into the same tired script. That she was stressed. That the guys she hired were just there for protection. That she never meant for things to go this far. She was stalling. Fishing. So I gave her a hook. "I'm willing to settle." She blinked. "You are?" "Sure," I said. "You keep the house. I'll keep the rest." The relief that washed over her face almost made me pity her. Almost. Because what she didn't realize was that I already owned the deed again. The paperwork had been reversed 3 days prior when the judge ruled the original transfer of ownership null and void due to coercion. Her power move with the bouncers became Exhibit A in her downfall. The house was mine. She was squatting. And that little settlement I offered? Just a test. One last tug on the line before I reeled her in. I watched the gears in her head turn as she tried to process what had just happened. Wait, what do you mean you own? Check your mail, I said. You've got 30 days to vacate. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't smirk. But I did walk her to the door. Slowly. Quietly. When she stepped outside, her expression had changed. It wasn't just shock anymore. It was fear. That dull, gnawing fear of someone who thought they were the predator and just realized they were the prey. She turned back once, maybe to say something, maybe to curse me. But I'd already shut the door. No words left. Just the sound of her footsteps echoing down a driveway I now owned. You'd think that after getting dragged out of my own car, signing away my home under threat, and watching my ex-wife's world crumble into overdue notices and foreclosure flags, I'd be tapped out of shock. But betrayal's a gift that keeps on giving. It was a Wednesday afternoon, just after I got back from meeting with a real estate investor who wanted me to co-sign a venture in Miami, when I got the call. Lance. My best man. Best friend since sophomore year. The guy who punched my high school bully and drove 3 states to help me propose to Veronica. He was the one who stood next to me at the altar. The one who toasted a love that could weather any storm. Yeah, that guy. You got a minute? He asked. Voice low. Too low. I should have known. That tone doesn't come with good news. He invited me to his place. No wives. No booze. Just 2 chairs and a silence thick enough to chew through. I need to tell you something before it gets to you some other way, he said. I leaned back, arms crossed, heart already sinking. It was 6 years ago, he started. A one-time thing. I swear to God. We were both drunk. You had just lost your job. She said she felt invisible. I was too weak to say no. The words came out choppy, like they hurt him to say. They didn't hurt me. Not in the way he probably imagined. Because I didn't feel pain. I felt clarity. The woman I built a life with? Slept with my best friend. Not during the divorce. Not during the death spiral. But 6 years ago. Right in the middle of our so-called happy years. And he kept it buried. Watched me cry over her. Watched me sacrifice for her. Gave a speech at our 10-year anniversary. And I forgave him. Just not to his face. See, forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about making sure you're not the one hanging from it. I nodded. Said I appreciated the honesty. Shook his hand. Told him it was behind us. But when I walked out that door, I didn't just walk out of his life. I walked into his. You see, Lance had something to lose. A lot, actually. A marriage. 2 kids. A construction business. And a pending contract with a firm I just so happened to now partially own through a shell investment. So, I did what any pathetic loser turned multimillionaire would do. I bought out his potential clients. Quietly. Anonymously. Redirected the contracts to competitors. I didn't destroy him. No, I just tightened the belt. Made the checks bounce a little more often. Let the cracks show in the foundation. Until he called me in a panic. I'm about to lose everything. I know, I said. And here I am. Still standing. He didn't get it at first. Most don't. But the truth? I wasn't punishing him for the affair. I was punishing him for standing next to me in a tuxedo, holding a glass, looking me in the eye, and pretending he gave a damn about my happiness. Some betrayals aren't just personal. They're ceremonial. He cried on the phone that night. I slept like a baby. Veronica once told me, during one of her classic monologues over red wine and contempt, this house is the only thing in my life that makes sense. So naturally, I took it from her. Not with a bulldozer. Not with a court order stapled to the gate. No. I wanted her to watch it slip through her perfectly manicured fingers like sand. See, after the court reversed the fraudulent property transfer, the house was legally mine again. But keeping it? No interest. That house wasn't home. It was a mausoleum of fake love and real betrayal. So I called my broker and said 4 words. Put it on auction. No exclusive listings. No soft deals. No quiet buyouts. This was going to be loud. The kind of auction with wine tastings, glossy brochures, and people in loafers worth more than my old car. I wanted her to see what happens when you try to bury a man and forget he came with a shovel. And here's the part that makes it perfect. I sent Veronica a personal invitation. Cream envelope. Embossed lettering. Gold foil. Just like she always loved. The kind she used for our wedding invites. It read, "You are cordially invited to the property auction of 76 Crestwood Lane, formerly your residence. Dress code. Business formal. Champagne will be served. Regret will not." I knew she'd come. Pride wouldn't let her stay away. And oh, Did she show up? In full armor, heels, red lipstick, fake smile. She walked in like she still owned the place. I made sure the staff didn't correct her. Let her play queen for just a few more minutes. The auctioneer greeted everyone warmly. A few hands went up early. Developers. Flippers. Even a couple from LA looking for a second home. Then he said the opening bid. $2.4 million. And wouldn't you know it, Veronica raised her paddle. Eyes wide. Smiling like she had a plan. A bluff. $3 million, she announced. Loud. Confident. Like a woman trying to win back more than square footage. I raised my hand behind her. Didn't say a word. The room shifted. 3.5, she countered. Another bidder chimed in. 4. And then I raised my hand again. No hesitation. No emotion. 4.8. That's when it happened. She turned. Finally realized I wasn't a ghost in the room. I gave her the smallest nod. Just enough for her stomach to drop. She lowered her paddle. She knew. Her bluff was over. Because she didn't have it. Not the money. Not the standing. Not the power. She had nothing but memories and a closet full of regrets in a house that now belonged to whoever had the guts to claim it. A young couple won the bid. Newlyweds. Pregnant. They hugged when the auctioneer slammed the gavel. She cried into his shoulder. It was poetic, really. The house that watched a marriage rot was now going to see one begin. Veronica left in silence. No words. No glare. Not even a fake smile. She walked past me like I was air. But I know she felt it. That heat in her throat. That sting behind the eyes. That pressure of knowing you played the wrong hand, and now the dealer owns the table. I didn't even buy the house. But I took it from her anyway. Some people are sloppy with secrets. They leave them in texts, emails, under the bed with receipts from hotels they swore they never visited. But Veronica? She was careful. Calculated. So when my lawyer brought me a sealed envelope marked with her maiden name and a Chase Bank logo, I knew we'd hit pay dirt. Turns out, when we were married, she opened a private safety deposit box using her birth name. It was tied to a dormant joint account she never thought I'd trace, one that used a shadow P.O. box she rented after we had that fight in year 9, the one where she told me she needed space. I never asked where the space was. I should have. Anyway, the bank contacted my attorney after the property ruling, citing a connected marital account flag during asset reassessment. Legal speak for, this technically counts as community property now. So I paid them a visit. Wore my nicest jacket. Smiled politely. Signed the release. They brought out a small, steel box. Dull. Unassuming. Inside? A black notebook. One gold ring. And a USB stick. The ring I recognized instantly, it was my grandmother's. The one I thought had been lost during our move 10 years ago. Turns out, it had just been stolen. Taken. Hoarded. Hidden. Like some trophy. The notebook? Her handwriting. Neat. Perfect. And full of names. Dates. Amounts. It was a damn ledger. Apparently, while I was grinding 2 jobs and patching drywall, my loving wife had been loaning money to a few close friends, realtors, her hairstylist, that art teacher she claimed was just a neighbor, and earning it back with interest. To the tune of nearly $400,000. All off the books? All stashed away in crypto wallets and hidden accounts, which, God help her, she listed right there in pen and ink like a mobster with poor OPSEC. She was running a private loan operation, backed by our shared equity, without my knowledge. She didn't just leave me. She tried to profit off me on the way out. But it gets better. That USB? I had it analyzed by a forensics guy I used to work with back in the day. What he found made his eyebrows go up. She recorded conversations, man, he said. With you. With her lawyer. With your friends. Audio files, like she was prepping for a custody trial that never happened. She had wiretap software on her phone. For years. I listened to one clip. It was me. Talking to Lance. I'd give her everything if it just made her stay. She kept that file. Labeled it leverage. That's when I stopped being angry. And started being precise. See, that ledger? That USB? They weren't just revenge fuel. They were evidence. Tax evasion. Wire fraud. Bank concealment. I had options now. She wanted the house. I had the whole damn courthouse. So I handed it over. Quietly. Through my attorney. No threats. No letters. Just action. A week later, her accounts froze again. This time, not because of me. Because the IRS came knocking. They always do. When the IRS shows up, they don't kick down your door like in the movies. No, they bleed you quietly. piece by piece, starting with your pride. First to go? The jewelry, then the handbags, then her illusions. Veronica had spent years building her castle of couture. Chanel bags she flaunted like trophies, Cartier bracelets stacked on her wrists like shackles she chose. Each piece bought with borrowed equity, secret loans, and the savings she never told me we had. So when they seized her assets and announced a public auction, I couldn't resist. Not because I wanted her things, because I wanted her to see what it felt like to lose what she valued most. She showed up. Of course she did. Dressed to kill. In a suit 2 seasons old, trying to look untouched by panic. But the cracks were showing. Her roots were visible. Her nails weren't fresh. And her smile? Gone. This wasn't Crestwood Lane. This was a rented conference hall in a mid-range hotel. Her world had shrunk. From manicured lawns and marble countertops to folding chairs and laminated bid paddles. The auctioneer stood tall. Item 42. A platinum engagement ring with a 2.5-carat center stone, flanked by sapphires. It was hers. The ring I gave her when I proposed under that stupid gazebo in Lake Tahoe. Funny how it looked smaller now. Duller. Opening bid. $8,000. A few hands went up. One caught my eye, Natalie. Oh, Natalie. Veronica's ex-friend. Once bridesmaid, then frenemy, then excommunicated for being too competitive. The same woman Veronica smeared behind her back for getting a nose job and dating younger men. Natalie didn't just bid. She bought. Everything. The ring. The handbags. Even the custom red-soled heels Veronica used to flash at every wine mixer like they came with a crown. Veronica's face never changed. Not once. But her hands? They shook. When Lot 58 came up, a limited edition Bulgari necklace I distinctly remember being a gift from a client. I leaned over to the woman beside me, a real estate exec named Carla I'd been casually seeing. Get this one for me, I said. Gift it to your assistant. Write it off. She smiled. With pleasure. It sold for a fraction of its worth. Probably not even enough to cover the taxes she still owed. When it was over, Veronica lingered in the back. I made sure to walk by slowly. She didn't look at me. She couldn't. But she spoke. You made your point. I stopped. Just once. Looked her in the eye. No, I said. You made my point. I just documented it. Then I walked away. Not because I was finished, but because I didn't have to do anything anymore. The world was taking care of the cleanup. Funny thing about symbols, they only mean something if the person wearing them is worthy. That ring, the one she pawned at the IRS auction, the one that made her eyes light up when I first knelt down in that snow-covered park in Tahoe, was never hers. Not really. It belonged to my grandmother. A woman who baked pies with hands weathered by decades of work, who held our family together when the world tried to split it at the seams. She wore that ring through the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and 47 years of marriage to a man who worshipped the ground she walked on. When she passed, she gave it to me with one simple line. Give this to the woman who sees you. Veronica never saw me. She saw what I could provide. A ladder, a springboard, a backup plan. So the moment Natalie bought that ring at auction, I made a call. Don't keep it. I told her. I have somewhere it needs to go. A week later, I flew out to Kansas City. Quiet town. Quiet woman. Her name's June. A retired nurse who once taught me how to dress a wound when I crashed my bike at age 11. Who brought me lemonade when Veronica forgot my birthday the 2nd year in a row. She wasn't a flame from the past. Nothing romantic. Just one of the last people on earth who ever truly saw me. Back when I was invisible. I knocked on her door. She opened it. Gray hair in a bun, flour on her hands. You look like you've seen some things, she said, smiling with those steady blue eyes. You have no idea, I said. We talked for 2 hours. She didn't ask for drama. Didn't want gossip. Just listened. Held space. Before I left, I handed her a box. What's this? She asked. A legacy that was worn by the wrong woman. But never again. She opened it. Tears welled up. She didn't even put it on. Just held it in her palm and whispered, I remember this. I told her to keep it. Sell it. Give it to her granddaughter. Smash it with a hammer for all I cared. But the ring was home now. Not locked in some velvet box, worn by a fraud at black tie galas, but held by someone who'd never used love as leverage. Veronica? She caught wind of it later. Probably through Natalie. Word travels fast when your social circle's reduced to wine moms and tax attorneys. She sent me a message. Just 4 words. That was my ring. I replied with 5. It was never your legacy. Blocked her after that. Some endings deserve silence. After months of silence, auctions, court filings, and frozen bank accounts, people started asking me the same question. What are you going to do next? They expected something big, lavish. Maybe a yacht. Maybe a company with my name in gold. Maybe a tell-all memoir with a dramatic title like Burned But Better. But I didn't want noise. I wanted narrative. You see, Veronica spent years rewriting our story while I was too busy living in it. To the world, she was the success, the homeowner, the strong, stylish woman who held it all together, while her loser husband chased dreams with no commas in the paycheck. She had her version. Now, I had mine. So I called a friend, one of the few who stayed after the fallout. Greg, journalist, independent, discreet. I'm ready to talk, I told him. Off the record? On the record, I said. And on my terms. We sat down for 3 hours. I told him everything. From the night she had me dragged out of my own damn car, to the Bitcoin wallet that changed the game. From the false signatures to the hidden accounts. From Lance's betrayal to the ledger that turned her into IRS chum. But I wasn't angry. I was composed. Clear. I gave him documents, screenshots, evidence, not gossip, receipts. And when he asked the golden question, why go public now? I gave him the truth. Because for 15 years, she painted me as a ghost in my own life. I just want my reflection back. He published the piece the next Sunday. Not a hit job. A profile. Title. The husband she buried. How one man lost everything and found himself on the other side. It went viral in under a day. Not for drama, but because it felt honest. Suddenly, my inbox wasn't full of pity or offers. It was full of respect. Business inquiries. Partnership requests. Even a few apology texts from people who had taken her side, people who didn't want to admit they helped hold the shovel. Veronica? She never responded publicly, but her name was trending again for all the wrong reasons. A disgraced former socialite. A cautionary tale. The woman who tried to bury a man so deep, she forgot he was a seed. And me? I didn't cash in. I didn't gloat. I just released a quiet statement of my own. It was one sentence, printed in black on a blank white page, posted to my personal site and shared across every platform. The truth doesn't need decoration. Just daylight. No hashtags. No follow-up. Just closure. I found it in the back of my desk drawer, behind old paper clips and a dried-up pen that hadn't worked since 2014. A single brass key, with a chipped blue plastic top. Funny how something so small can hold so much weight. It wasn't for a car. Not a house. Not a safety deposit box or a business locker. It was for a cabin. Our cabin. The one I built with my hands, plank by plank, upstate. Paid for it with overtime and weekends I'll never get back. It was meant to be our escape from the noise, before the noise moved in and made itself permanent. She hated it. Called it too rustic. Said it smelled like sap and desperation. I called it peace. And when she finally threw me out and kept the house, the cars, the accounts, she never even thought to ask about the cabin. She forgot it existed. But I didn't. So when the noise finally died down, after the courts, the articles, the auctions, I drove out there. No entourage. No fanfare. Just me, the key, and a tank of gas. It was exactly as I left it. Dusty. Quiet. Perfect. The porch still creaked in that same familiar way. The fireplace still had half a stack of what I chopped the week before she told me she needed something more. There were 2 mugs in the cupboard, one chipped, one not. She always used the perfect one. I made coffee in the chipped one. Sat on the porch. Watched the trees move. And I remembered something that hit harder than any betrayal ever had. It wasn't the money. It wasn't the house. It wasn't even the love I lost. It was me. The me I used to be. The man who built things. Fixed things. Loved deeply. Trusted fully. Believed in vows. Believed in her. And the man I became? I didn't hate him. He was colder. Smarter. Sharper. But he'd survived. And survival changes your architecture. I pulled out a lighter from my coat pocket. The same kind I used to light fires with every fall. And I lit one more. No, not the cabin. Just a box. A box filled with the last photos of us. The wedding invites. The Tahoe snow globe she bought during our honeymoon. Her notes. Her love letters. All of it. One by one, I dropped them into the flames. No ceremony. No anger. Just finality. Because some things don't deserve to be passed on. They don't belong in scrapbooks. They belong in ashes. And as the fire crackled, I dropped the key into it, too. Because I didn't need an escape anymore. I wasn't running. I was done. The funny thing about climbing your way back up? You don't notice who you step over until you're standing at the top and looking down. By the time I'd gotten my name back, my house back, my fortune, my story, the things that mattered weren't things at all. They were faces. People I forgot. People I hurt while hurting. So I made a list. Old school. Pen and paper. No assistant. No PR manager. Just me. Lance's wife, Erin. She didn't cheat on me. She didn't lie. She didn't deserve to have her family torn apart because her husband was a snake in a suit. I sent her a letter. No excuses. No dramatics. You didn't betray me, but you still paid the price for someone who did. I'm sorry. Whatever you decide to do next, you deserve better than either of us. She never replied. She didn't have to. Mike, from the garage. The guy who gave me free labor when my car died, and I was too broke to admit it. I paid him back, tenfold. Not just with money, but with a grant to open a second location. No name on the plaque. No PR splash. Just quiet payback to a man who never asked for anything. He cried. I didn't. But I felt it. Rosa, my neighbor from the old duplex. She used to leave Tupperware on my doorstep. Said a man shouldn't eat sadness for dinner. I showed up to her doorstep one Saturday morning with a brand new fridge, fully stocked, and a promise to cover her son's tuition. She tried to refuse. I told her, you fed me when no one else saw me. Now let me feed the future. And then there was David. Not a friend. Not an enemy. A guy I barely knew. Divorced. Used to sit in the corner at the same coffee shop I hid in after Veronica booted me from my life. I saw him one day. Months later, same table. Same broken posture. Same black coffee. I walked over. No pretense. She leave you? He didn't answer. Didn't have to. I sat down. Bought him a second coffee. Told him the short version. The version that ends in survival. It doesn't end like this, I said. Not if you don't let it. He smiled, eventually. Small. It was mid-September when the call came in. Private number. I almost let it go to voicemail. I was reading on my balcony, a dog-eared copy of East of Eden in one hand, espresso in the other. But something told me to pick up. The voice on the other end? Her mother. Vivian Ashcroft, née Livingston. Real estate royalty. Queen of whisper campaigns and Cold War dinners. The woman who once told Veronica, marrying him is like investing in a dead stock. And now? We were hoping to meet, she said. We? Your ex-wife. Myself. Her attorney. I smiled. What could we possibly have to discuss? She cleared her throat. A business opportunity. Of course. Because when all the emotion burns off, there's one language these people always return to. Money. They wanted me to buy into a discreet investment trust tied to a new downtown development. Something I'd already heard was hemorrhaging cash. Apparently Veronica, now styling herself as some kind of wellness brand consultant, had put in a sizable personal stake. And it was sinking. Fast. The cherry on top? The deal was engineered in a way that if I backed out now, they'd default. Publicly. So they came to me. The man she discarded. The man she humiliated. Now the only man who could save their little empire from collapsing in the papers. I agreed to meet. Not in a boardroom. At a diner. The same one where Veronica and I used to split pancakes before she started pretending carbs were beneath her. She showed up first. Hair perfect. Face hollow. You look good, she said. I raised an eyebrow. I am good. Vivian followed. Graceful. Cold. Like frost in human form. They slid over a folder with numbers. Projections. Please dressed up as data. I didn't open it. You want me to bail you out? I said. No, Vivian replied. We want to partner with someone who has proven resilience. I almost laughed. Veronica didn't say a word. Not really. She just stared at me. Like maybe, just maybe, there was a version of this where I said yes. Where we called it even. Where money healed what her malice couldn't. So I leaned forward, calm as a saint. There's something you both need to understand. They waited. You didn't break me. You revealed me. I slid the folder back. Untouched. And I don't invest in desperation. I stood up, buttoned my coat, and added, without looking back. You wanted everything. Now you have it.